The internet is on fire, and it all began with a voicemail that was never intended to be heard. And purported emotional communication from KirkFrost to YungJoc has been posted online, causing a significant shift. In the recording, Kirk's voice breaks as he pleads, "Bro, don't let this ruin everything. I need you to hear me out. I was mistaken." Fans were left dumbfounded. KirkFrost, famed for his rough demeanor and on-screen power maneuvers, is suddenly trapped in a state of raw, desperate vulnerability. Nobody saw it coming, but just as viewers began to sympathize with him, thinking maybe this was a guy attempting to rectify his wrongs, things took a bad turn, because hours later, another tape appeared. And this one? It was not about forgiveness. It was all about blaming. The love and hip-hop world is now in disarray. Did Kirk set up Joc? Is someone releasing these videos to damage him? Why hasn't Joc said anything? And most importantly, what happens next? Stay with us, because what began as a request for forgiveness might end up being the worst betrayal yet. And believe us, it will only get worse from here. The conflict between KirkFrost, YungJoc, and the whole love and hip-hop franchise took an unexpected turn when a private voicemail became public. What was meant to be a simple, behind-the-scenes apology rapidly escalated into one of reality TV's most dramatic conflicts. KirkFrost allegedly sent YungJoc a voicemail, including a desperate appeal for forgiveness, genuine emotion, and regret. "Please, brother, I botched up. Don't let this screw things up. We have gone through too much." When it initially appeared, admirers couldn't believe their eyes. KirkFrost, known for his forceful, often unforgiving character, begged for forgiveness. His voice broke and his sentences stumbled, as if he had reached a breaking point. Even the most seasoned reality TV watchers were taken aback by an unexpected display of sensitivity. Many people had never seen Kirk in such a delicate state, and for a brief period, it appeared like he was sincerely regretful for his previous deeds, notably the drama with YungJoc. However, while fans tried to digest what they had just learned, the narrative intensified. Just hours after the voicemail became viral, another clip appeared. And this one, well, it was not like the first. Kirk had made a phone call to another cast member who was part of his inner circle. Kirk's tone changed dramatically on the second recording. The desperation was gone. The grief was gone. Instead, there was a deeper undercurrent in his statements. "I'm not sure what Joc is pulling, but I'm done with this. He had desired the drama all along. It is his fault, not mine. I am not going to sit here and accept responsibility for anything." KirkFrost's calm, collected voice returned. This time, however, it was laced with wrath, resentment, and perhaps most tellingly, a sense of betrayal. How could a guy who had just sought forgiveness turn so quickly? How could someone who appeared to be anxious for Joc's praise suddenly flip around and criticize him? Fans who had been impacted by the initial message began to question everything. Was this all an act? Had Kirk been playing the victim to get sympathy from the public? And why did he feel compelled to share such a personal experience with the public in the first place? The second voicemail caused uproar. The heartfelt apology swiftly became an angry allegation. It felt like a complete 180, confusing fans and even his closest followers. Who was the actual KirkFrost? Was he sincerely regretful for his crimes, or was it all part of a larger game? It was evident now that this was more than simply forgiveness. It was a battle of words, and it had only just begun. At the center of the incident was YungJoc, a longtime friend of Kirk's. But what did he make of it? YungJoc had been silent since the disclosure of the voicemails. Fans waited with bated breath for his reaction, hoping that something, anything, would shed light on what was actually going on. Was Joc hurt? Angry? Or was he just indifferent? The lack of response simply fueled the fire. Behind the scenes, the Love and Hip Hop production staff was rushing to control the damage. According to sources close to the program, Mona Scott-Young, the franchise's originator, was upset with the scenario. She had based the program on drama, but here was an entirely other level of madness. The producers were now left to doubt Kirk's future position in the series. If Kirk had contrived this scenario for his personal gain, Would he be removed off the show? As the days passed, additional information leaked. Rumors circulated that someone from YungJoc's crew had released the second voicemail. The timing was too good to be a coincidence. Why else would Kirk's claims emerge only hours after his passionate plea? Was this an attempt to damage Kirk's reputation, to make him appear much more manipulative than he actually was? The rumors around Love and Hip Hop's performance became louder. Some cast members suspected Joc had been secretly plotting his retribution. Others felt that the entire event had been orchestrated from the outset as a tactic to increase viewership. The borders between what was genuine and what was staged blurred, leaving many wondering whether it was all a game. Or had everything genuinely gone off the tracks? For Kirk, the pressure was increasing. The popular reaction was divided. Some supporters remained convinced that he was sincerely sorry and wanted to make apologies. However, people began to perceive him differently. The guy who had asked for forgiveness just hours before now seemed to be full of excuses, shifting responsibility at every opportunity. The emotional roller coaster was taking its toll, and the fans knew it. Meanwhile, Kirk's wife, Rashida, was caught in the crossfire. She had been a supporting figure throughout the years, but suddenly she was thrown into the limelight in ways she had never expected. The frequent turmoil involving her spouse has taken a toll on her personal life. Was this the breaking point in their relationship? Will she stick by him through this, or will she ultimately walk away? Fans were excited to learn what Rashida's next move would be. As additional voicemails and phone conversations leaked, it became clear that the crisis was far from ended. With each fresh piece of information, the mystery grew. Who was actually behind the leaks? Was this all part of a broader plan to damage Kirk's career, or was he the true victim? The drama had only just begun, and the entire globe was waiting for the next surprise. What will happen next? Will Joc ever speak up? Will Kirk's apology be enough to restore his image, or has he gone too far? And most crucially, what will Mama Scott Young do with him? KirkFrost's destiny was in the balance, and no one knew how the turbulent drama would conclude. As the drama involving KirkFrost and YungJoc escalated, the situation began to spin out of hand. The leaked voicemail was simply the beginning. With the public's attention focused only on the two stars, the aftermath of the leaked recording was causing a full-fledged media frenzy. What began as a simple apology escalated into a war of words, accusations, and drama. The tension between Kirk and Joc was evident, and it appeared that there was no way for them to recover from the aftermath. Fans who had previously supported Kirk were beginning to mistrust his motivations. They had believed him when he apologized, but now it appeared he was attempting to spin the issue in his advantage. The shift in tone from impassioned appeal to icy, blame-shifting rant made many people believe Kirk wasn't as sorry as he appeared. This abrupt turn did not sit well with supporters who had invested in his salvation story. People began to wonder whether KirkFrost really the victim in this circumstance, or if he was simply another participant in the love and hip-hop game, manipulating the narrative for his personal profit. The questions kept coming, and with each passing hour, it seemed like there was another revelation about the behind-the-scenes turmoil. A second voicemail had surfaced, apparently from Kirk, to a close confidant. Kirk's message did not sound like someone attempting to mend a broken relationship. Instead, he came across as someone anxious to avoid culpability. He was furious, bitter, and obviously frustrated. "I'm not going to sit here and let him destroy me," he could be heard saying. "I know what's going on, and I'm not going to fall for it. This is on him, not me." What was really unsettling about the second tape was Kirk's apparent plan for his next move. It seemed as if he were prepared for a war. Fans could sense a change in his energy. He was no longer pleading for forgiveness, but rather preparing for battle. This was no longer about making peace with YungJoc. It was about saving face, preserving his career, and refusing to allow Joc or anybody else bring him down. Meanwhile, YungJoc remained strangely silent. Despite the commotion around him, he had not issued a public comment regarding the voicemails or what had happened. His stillness was deafening. Fans were eager to hear his side of the tale, but so far all they had were leaked voicemails and stories circulating on social media. Was Joc actually betrayed by his friend? Or was he merely waiting, prepared for a perfectly planned response? But quiet did not imply inactivity. According to sources close to Joc, he was meeting secretly with his team to strategize on how to manage the situation. There were rumors that Joc had been in contact with his attorneys about taking legal action against Kirk for what he saw as slander. If this was true, it indicated the drama had gone well beyond the scope of reality television. It was now a war with actual consequences. Fans were becoming restless. The quiet was just adding fuel to the inferno. They wanted to hear from Joc, but he appeared to be keeping his cards close to his chest. The longer he remained silent, the more heated the rumors grew. Some fans assumed that Joc was merely waiting for the right time to expose Kirk, while others claimed that Joc was carefully calculating his choices, unsure of how much harm disclosing the truth would create. While the public focused on the animosity between the two guys, the scandal's rippling effects were felt across the love and hip-hop family. People began to take sides, with some cast members displaying apparent support for Kirk and others rallying with YungJoc. In fact, a few cast members began publicly criticizing Kirk for how he handled the matter. They couldn't comprehend how he could shift from pleading for mercy to blaming others. This was the kind of drama that might split the entire group apart. Behind the scenes, Mona Scott Young was said to be furious. The producer, who had built her business on the reality TV show Spectacular Drama, was confronted with an unexpected problem. The leaked voicemails had thrown the entire production into chaos. Kirk's future on the program was now in jeopardy, as was the franchise's whole integrity. Fans who had tuned in to love and hip-hop for the drama were now wondering if the program was genuine or simply another manufactured spectacle. Could Mona solve it? Has Kirk's actions irrevocably stained the show? According to sources close to Mona, she is examining all of her alternatives. There were discussions about maybe eliminating Kirk from the program entirely. The producers were concerned about how his actions might affect the show's viewership and image. The thought of sacking Kirk, who had been with the program for so long, was a daring and hazardous one. However, everyone wondered if it would be worthwhile in the long term. Kirk's actions had not only harmed his reputation, but also the whole love and hip-hop brand. As the animosity between Kirk and Joc grew, viewers began to wonder if they would ever reconcile. Will they be able to mend their shattered connection, or is this the beginning of the end? The program has seen plenty of feuds and fallouts, but this was different. The personal stakes were larger, the emotions heightened, and the allegations more severe. This was more than simply a conflict for screen time. It was a fight for respect, reputation, and career survival. Some fans speculated that Kirk's actions were part of a greater plan, something more sophisticated than anybody had anticipated. Has he used the circumstance to his advantage? Did he realize that leaking the voicemail would create enough commotion to keep his name in the news? Was this all part of a strategy to remain relevant in the love and hip-hop community? After all, what better way to stay in the public spotlight than to instigate a story so explosive that everyone has no option than to discuss it? Others believe that Kirk was just caught up in the maelstrom he created. His passionate appeal for forgiveness had been sincere at start, but somewhere along the road, things had gotten out of hand. The stress of appearing on reality television, along with the extreme scrutiny of his personal life, had plainly taken its toll. But regardless of how you looked at it, Kirk was suddenly fighting for his career, and maybe his whole future in the limelight. The time was ticking, and supporters were hungry for the next move. Will Kirk be able to redeem himself, or is his fate sealed? And what is Joc's next step? Will he face Kirk directly, or will he keep his cards hidden and play the long game? One thing was certain, this tale was far from ended, and it was only going to become messier. As the drama between KirkFrost and YungJoc intensified, the stakes became greater than ever. Every action they took appeared to add gasoline to the fire, and the situation escalated. While fans anxiously awaited the next round of this epic conflict, no one could have imagined what was about to happen. The leaked voicemails, public tantrums, and behind-the-scenes speculations were merely the start of a far darker story that would quickly take center stage. Kirk's emotional breakdown during the leaked voicemail appeared to be a desperate attempt at atonement, but as time passed, it became evident that there was much more going on. His intentional stillness following the second voicemail raised concerns. Fans who had previously believed in his apology questioned his sincerity. Was he truly attempting to make peace with YungJoc, or was he merely manipulating the story to his advantage? Was KirkFrost, the adored reality star, just playing a game to preserve face, or was there anything more going on? As the public discussion went on, a fresh twist emerged, surprising everyone. A third voicemail appeared, and it was even more explosive than the first two. Kirk could be heard on the video speaking to someone who appeared to be a close friend or confidant. He was upset and exclaimed, "I can't believe this is happening. Way was never intended to happen like Way. Joc cannot get away with this, especially after everything I've done for him. I will not be made to look like the evil guy." What made this message especially devastating was Kirk's apparent obsession with his own image. He was not apologizing or showing genuine sorrow. Rather, he was preoccupied with how the event would affect his public image. "If I lose everything over this, I'm done," he said. "I cannot let them bring me down. They'll regret it." The third voicemail presented a completely different picture of Kirk than the public had been led to think. It became evident that Kirk was more concerned with protecting his image than with restoring his connection with YungJoc. This discovery sparked a new wave of emotions on social media. Fans who had previously backed Kirk were left feeling misled. How could someone who said they were sorry turn out to be so manipulative? The outcry was quick and harsh. Meanwhile, YungJoc was notably silent. His absence from public debate further increased conjecture about his future move. Some admirers suspected that Joc had already made his decision and was planning a major surprise. Others claimed he was merely letting the matter play out, knowing that each new voicemail or leaked discussion would only harm Kirk's reputation. The longer Joc remained silent, the stronger the stillness got. In the middle of the building animosity, reports circulated that YungJoc intended to sue Kirk for the harm caused by the leaked voicemails. According to sources close to Joc, he is considering pursuing a defamation action due to the emotional toll the situation has taken on him. If these allegations were accurate, the issue had progressed far beyond reality TV drama and into very dangerous legal terrain. Joc's probable legal action was hardly the only unexpected development. Behind the scenes, some Love and Hip Hop cast members were reportedly at conflict about how to approach the matter. Some felt Kirk had crossed a line by exposing his personal complaints in such a public forum, while others believed he was unfairly punished. The schism between the cast members was becoming more visible, and it appeared like the Love and Hip Hop family was breaking apart at the seams. Mona Scott-Young, the genius behind the Love and Hip Hop franchise, found herself in a difficult situation. The drama had grown to overshadow the program, and it was evident that the franchise's survival was at stake. Mona, the show's creator and producer, had always lived on controversy and disorder, but the public outrage over the leaked voicemails was beginning to seem like more than a passing issue. The fundamental core of the Love and Hip Hop brand was being undermined, and Mona was beginning to understand that she would have to make some difficult decisions. Mona allegedly considered removing Kirk off the program during private meetings with her crew. The choice was not taken lightly, especially given Kirk's long history with the Love and Hip Hop series. However, the gravity of the circumstance compelled her hand. If Kirk's public image deteriorated significantly, it may have an impact on the entire series. The issue around him had the potential to dominate the entire season, and Mona understood that the longer this problem lasted, the more difficult it would be to recover. Meanwhile, Kirk was under increasing strain. He had become the focal focus of the issue, and his activities were now being closely scrutinized. As the drama progressed, many people began to wonder if Kirk's career was really salvageable. Could he recover from this? Was there any way to undo the harm he had done to both his friendship with YungJoc and his own reputation? Or had he dug himself so deep that he couldn't get out? In an attempt to reclaim control of the narrative, Kirk finally broke his quiet. He left a cryptic statement on his social media pages. indicating that he was taking time to reflect and will address the problem shortly. The post did little to soothe the situation. Fans were left dissatisfied, wanting to hear the truth directly from Kirk. Was he truly reflecting on his conduct, or was this simply another attempt to buy time and avoid answering difficult questions? Kirk was not the only one experiencing emotional anguish. The public incident put a hardship on YungJoc's family as well. According to sources close to Joc, his loved ones are concerned about the impact the situation is having on him. His partner, Kadia, was allegedly unhappy with Kirk for including their family in the situation. Joc's children, who had previously been insulated from the craziness of the love and hip-hop world, were suddenly being exposed to an aspect of their father's life that they were not prepared to experience. It was evident that the drama had a wide-ranging personal impact, and the emotional aftermath affected everyone involved. As public scrutiny grew, everyone wondered how it would all end. Was there any prospect of reconciliation between Kirk and YungJoc? Was this the end of their relationship and even their careers? The situation was spinning out of control, and no one knew what would happen next. What was clear, however, was that the story was far from done, and the next twist in this controversy would be even more stunning than the last one. The days after KirkFrost's cryptic post appeared to exacerbate the situation. Fans were getting impatient, hoping for a resolution or a more thorough explanation. But Kirk's silence, along with allegations about his role in the leaked voicemails, produced a sense of anticipation and irritation. Meanwhile, the strain on YungJoc increased. He kept quiet about the entire incident, preferring to let the media frenzy run its course. This deliberate quiet just added to the drama's suspense, and viewers could scarcely wait. As the tension rose, a new voice joined the conversation. YungJoc's closest friend and business colleague, who had maintained a low profile throughout the experience. In an exclusive interview with a prominent gossip website, the acquaintance stated that Joc had meticulously planned his next actions. Joc isn't the kind to take risks without first considering them through. He's been keeping a close eye on Kirk, and he's just waiting for the right moment to speak up, the buddy stated. But make no mistake, when he does, it will be explosive. He's not letting Kirk off easy. The interview sparked speculation among fans and critics regarding YungJoc's explosive response. Will he eventually break his quiet with a public speech, or is he preparing something more dramatic? Everyone seemed to agree that once YungJoc spoke, the situation would escalate, and with each passing hour, it felt that time was becoming closer. Behind the scenes, tensions were rising among the Love and hip-hop production staff. The show's creator, Mona Scott-Young, was allegedly in a frenzy of meetings, attempting to handle the ramifications from the incident. According to sources, some producers wanted Kirk removed off the program because they feared his role in the turmoil would dominate the following season. Others, however, claimed that the dispute may increase ratings and create a more fascinating plot. The argument within the production team was heating up, and no one could agree on the best course of action. The drama between Kirk and YungJoc had now escalated into a full-fledged crisis for the program, and everyone was scrambling to find out how to convert it into a victory, or at the very least keep it from being a disaster. Kirk's publicist, meanwhile, was working overtime, taking media calls and seeking to control the story. The publicist made many statements on Kirk's behalf, stating that he was deeply sorry for his conduct and ready to make amends with YungJoc. However, these damage control efforts were viewed with mistrust. Fans were fed up with hearing hollow apologies and wanted to see genuine change. Kirk's reluctance to offer any real steps strengthened the perception that he was more concerned with his personal reputation than with truly repairing his relationships. His most recent public apologies, in which he claimed to have been misunderstood, did little to alleviate the increasing criticism. People weren't purchasing it anymore. Despite the rising outcry, some people still hoped Kirk could recover from the incident. A few ardent supporters backed him, claiming that everyone makes errors and that Kirk deserved the opportunity to redeem himself. However, their voices were progressively drowned out by a clamor of detractors demanding responsibility. It appeared that the public's tolerance with Kirk was wearing thin, and the longer he remained mute, the more difficult it got to reclaim their faith. Meanwhile, YungJoc's social media presence was completely opposite of Kirk's. While Kirk stayed mute, Joc had been sending cryptic texts and dropping subtle indications about the situation. In one tweet, he included a photo of himself with the statement, "Real ones don't need to speak. Their acts speak for themselves." The tweet was interpreted as a direct attack on Kirk, meaning that Joc was letting his actions, or maybe his planned response, speak louder than words. Fans couldn't get enough of the mystery message, and suspicion began to grow. People were discussing more than simply Joc's strange posts. He was also seen out in public with some of his closest pals, including a couple Love and Hip Hop cast members who had previously declined to comment on the issue. Their presence by his side conveyed a clear message. Joc was not alone in this struggle. He had support, and he was ready to face whatever came next. The anonymity among Joc's group only contributed to the growing tension, indicating that the next chapter of this fight would be explosive. Then, one fateful night, everything changed. Kirk decided to undertake a live stream interview with a big media organization, which surprised everyone. The interview was meant to be his opportunity to clarify the situation and give his side of the tale. Fans and media outlets were buzzing with excitement as the interview approached. Was Kirk finally going to accept responsibility for his acts? Or was this simply another attempt to manipulate the story in his favor? When the interview eventually began, Kirk's manner was not what fans had expected. He seemed tight and anxious, his typical assurance replaced by an almost palpable sense of fragility. The interviewer, known for their no-nonsense approach, wasted no time getting to the core of the issue. "Kirk, the world has heard your voicemails. We have noticed your apologies. But what's the truth? What happened to you and YungJoc? And why should anyone think you're genuinely sorry?" Kirk, evidently disturbed, took a long breath before responding. "I botched up. I made a mistake and am here to accept full responsibility for it. But what most people don't realize is that this scenario is more difficult than it appears. YungJoc and I have a long history, and things haven't always gone smoothly. I know I wounded him, but I didn't plan for it to get this far. I want to repair things. I want to make things right." The interviewer continued, "But you didn't simply make a mistake. You have deceived a buddy. You aired private talks. You have lied. Why should we believe you now?" Kirk's face contracted, and he appeared to be about to burst into tears. Instead, he composed himself and responded, "I can't alter the past, but I can attempt to put things right. And I will. It will not be easy, but I owe it to everyone, YungJoc, my fans, and my family, to at least try." The interview was emotional and informative, but it also left many issues unresolved. Is Kirk sincerely apologetic, or is he just attempting to save his career? And if his regret was sincere, what would it take to heal the harm he had caused to his friendship with YungJoc? Fans were divided, with some admiring his honesty and others remaining cautious. The narrative was far from ended, and it appeared that the drama between KirkFrost and YungJoc would keep the audience interested for weeks to come. The tension was rising to a fever pitch, and no one knew how it would finish. The live interview signaled a turning point in the story, but the fundamental questions remained. What would be Joc's next move? Will he accept Kirk's apology? Or will he pursue legal action? Will the Love and Hip Hop franchise recover from this scandal? Or is it the end of an era? The answers to these concerns would come with time, but one thing was certain: the aftermath from this dispute was far from ended, and the drama was just beginning. As the dust settled from the heated livestream interview, tensions between KirkFrost and YungJoc hit an all-time high. While Kirk attempted to rehabilitate his reputation, the harm was clear. Fans who had previously supported him through thick and thin were now divided. Some believed in his sincerity, while others couldn't escape the suspicion that his statements were simply another attempt to safeguard his career. The concerns about his intentions hung in the air, and no one could dispute that the drama was far from done. Meanwhile, YungJoc's future step was unknown. Despite the urge to speak out, he remained silent, putting supporters on the edge of their seats. He looked to be playing the long game, carefully preparing his response to ensure victory. His social media posts have grown even more cryptic, enticing his admirers with ambiguous comments and enigmatic photographs. But one thing was certain, YungJoc's response to the circumstance would be nothing short of cataclysmic. Behind the scenes, Love and Hip Hop's producers were still trying to figure out how to deal with the aftermath. The program has always been a source of drama, but the severity of this dispute was unparalleled. Some producers pushed for a plot on the fallout, seeking to profit on the public's interest in the subject. Others, however, were concerned about the long-term effects on the show's image. Would the fans turn against Kirk? Could they ever recover from this scandal? Kirk's attempts to mend his connections lasted for weeks, but they appeared more empty. He made several public appearances, attempting to project a more humble image of himself, but the public found it difficult to forget what had happened. Even his family, who had always been his staunchest supporters, appeared to be becoming tired of the continual media frenzy. His wife, Rashida, had been mostly silent during the experience, although her presence could be sensed in the background. Fans speculated about her feelings on the matter, including whether she would support her husband or distance herself from the controversy. The tension between the two was evident, and it just fueled the fire. On the other side, YungJoc's group stayed intact, and his followers became increasingly vociferous. His admirers have turned to social media to express their views, urging Kirk to face actual repercussions for his crimes. The hashtag #JusticeForJoc started trending, with followers demanding responsibility and an end to the protracted dispute. It appeared that the people had picked sides, and Kirk was on the losing end. But despite the commotion, the issue was far from resolved. The questions remained: would YungJoc ultimately break his silence and reply to Kirk's apology? Will the two guys ever mend their broken friendship? Or had this conflict gotten too far, with no hope for reconciliation? As the drama progressed, one thing became clear: this tale was far from over. The Love and Hip Hop audience held its breath, waiting for the next surprising revelation in KirkFrost and YungJoc's continuing fight. Is this the conclusion of their narrative, or simply another chapter in the never-ending drama of reality television? Only time would tell, but one thing was certain: fans would be treated to even more twists, turns, and jaw-dropping discoveries before the story was complete. Kirk's destiny was still undetermined. Was there any chance of atonement, or had his acts permanently destroyed his career and reputation? Only time would tell the actual ramifications of this scandal, and whether he could ever reclaim the confidence he had lost. Meanwhile, supporters would continue to track every development, anxiously anticipating the next bombshell announcement. Would there be a conclusion, or would this drama continue to spiral out of control? The only certainty was that the Love and Hip Hop world had been shaken to its core, and the fallout from KirkFrost and YungJoc's rivalry would be felt for a long time. Will there be a happy ending, or is it the end of an era? The drama was far from over, and the world was waiting for the next shocking revelation. As we wait for the next chapter, what do you suppose will happen? Will YungJoc forgive Kirk, or will the dispute escalate? So what does this imply for Love and Hip Hop? Share your opinions in the comments below, and don't forget to like and subscribe for future updates on this incredible story. The drama between KirkFrost and YungJoc has taken unexpected turns, leaving us all wondering what is really going on behind the scenes. The leaked voicemail, the public backlash, and the continuous tension. This isn't just a story, it's a full-fledged reality TV show that no one expected. But the major issue remains: can these two ever reconcile, or is this the start of the end of their relationship? We want to hear from you. Do you believe YungJoc will accept Kirk's apologies? Or is the harm done? Will Love and Hip Hop survive this controversy, or is it simply another nail in the coffin? Leave your opinions in the comments section. Let's chat about it. If you want more updates on this wild situation, be sure to like this video and subscribe for all the latest drama, exclusive leaks, and behind-the-scenes gossip. Share this with your friends and let's continue the conversation. You do not want to miss what comes next.